The Xbox Series X and S becomes the second best selling console in the UK behind the Nintendo Switch, and there is another big game coming onto Xbox Game Pass day one. So with the release of the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5, one of the biggest things holding back these consoles is the actual supply. With the chip shortages, it's actually very hard to get these consoles, and it looks like this is going to last all the way until 2022. But with this being said, the Xbox Series X and S seems to be doing a little bit better than the PlayStation 5, which is allowing the console to actually be sold more, as it is now the second best selling console in the UK in the month of April behind the Nintendo Switch. So these numbers are for April 2021, and the Nintendo Switch, as usual, as it's been doing since it has been released, has been dominating the sales charts, which is something that Nintendo has to do in order to be successful with that console. They need to push forward as many units as possible, and they're doing a great job at that. But just behind the Nintendo Switch in April was the Xbox Series X and S, and the PlayStation 5 was actually several spots below the Nintendo Switch and the Xbox Series X and S, and the PlayStation 4 was actually above the PlayStation 5 in sales. So these sales numbers of the Xbox Series X and S, yes, has a lot to do with the actual supply. Somebody who walks into a store, they see what's available, and it's either a Nintendo Switch, a PlayStation 4, or an Xbox Series X and S. A lot of people are going to go for the next generation console. But the interesting thing out of all of this is something that I've talked about in previous videos, and just the strategy of Xbox and why I think it is the better strategy going forward, and how the sales of consoles and the lack of supply and the chip shortages is going to affect PlayStation a lot more than it is going to affect Xbox. So firstly, Xbox has two SKUs. They got the Series X and they got the Series S. So people have more options just if they want to get into that console space on an Xbox. And then secondly, with PlayStation, in order to access their first party games, in order to access their content, you have to buy a PlayStation console, and you'll have to buy a PlayStation 5 if you're going to want to play a game like Ratchet and Clank that is coming out in June. So this chip shortage and this supply issue will directly affect their bottom line for a game like Ratchet and Clank that will only be available on the PlayStation 5, because there will be people that want to play it but can't get a PlayStation 5. They may become frustrated and they may switch over to a different platform, or they may just go and sign up for Xbox Game Pass. That's the key thing here, Xbox Game Pass. Even if the consoles are in short supply, even if this chip shortages last another several years, Xbox is still going to be able to gain customers and make revenue, because Xbox Game Pass is available pretty much anywhere: PC, console, mobile phone, coming to iOS through the browser in the beta, and will eventually be released out to everybody else. But then on top of that, you look at the fact that they have those two SKUs. So if the Series X is sold out, people are still going to pick up the Series S because they'll want to get access to Game Pass. And if they're just playing on a monitor, if they understand what the Series S can do with 120 FPS, 120 hertz, I think a lot of people who aren't following the console industry and the video game industry as closely as somebody like me, or potentially somebody like you, will be very impressed when they get the Xbox Series S and understand what it can do for the price that you're getting, and the fact that you're getting access to a ton of games through Xbox Game Pass. Now, what else is interesting is obviously the sale of consoles affects the sales of controllers. So the Xbox wireless controller, they say here specifically the black, or the carbon black coloration, was the best selling controller of April in the UK. Now, consoles are going to do that, but these controllers can also be used on PC, so maybe that has a little bit to do with it as well. Now, this is just more good sales news for the Xbox Series X and S, but I don't think sales of consoles in particular really matter that much this generation, because of their strategy with Game Pass and having it available everywhere. But what I do see here is that I think people are definitely more interested in the Xbox Series X and S than they would have been in the Xbox One last generation. I don't know the sales of the Xbox One last generation month by month, but I feel like if somebody went into a store last gen and they saw that the Xbox One was $100 more than the PlayStation 4, and the PlayStation 4 was out of stock, they would have maybe just waited and not bought an Xbox. But people are going in, even if they are looking for a PlayStation 5, I think they see the Xbox Series X and S, they see what's available on the console, they see Game Pass, and they are more enticed to purchase that over waiting for a PlayStation 5 to come into stock. Now, moving on here, we got an announcement for another big day one game coming to Xbox Game Pass in June, and this is Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, and it will be releasing onto the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X and S, Windows 10 PC, and phones and tablets via the Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta with Xbox Game Pass on June 22nd, which is awesome, and it will support PC and console crossplay right at launch. So this game actually looks like a ton of fun. I have to admit, after watching this trailer, it's definitely a game I'm going to want to check out. I'm not too familiar with these Dungeons and Dragons game, like I haven't played Baldur's Gate or anything like that, but this, I mean, graphically looks awesome. It looks like if you get a couple of friends, it's going to be just a great time. And it's just another perfect Game Pass game to come out on day one. 4-player co-op crossplay. People are going to be able to jump in. If they've never heard about this game, they'll have some friends that'll tell them to jump in. It's on Game Pass. You have nothing to lose. And hey, it looks like a really good game in terms of graphically and just the actual combat and the action within it. But keep your eye out on this June 22nd, and if you don't have Game Pass, you're going to be paying $40 for it. So again, just a nice savings into Game Pass for a game that a lot of people may have not heard about, checked out, or played if it wasn't on that service. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the sales of the Xbox Series X and S. Let me know if you're going to be playing Dark Alliance when it drops onto Game Pass on day one. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you like what you see throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow and help grow this community so we can have great conversations in the comments below. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.